The vastness of space is quiet, almost eerily so. The stars twinkle in the distance, casting their pale glow over planets that are drifting peacefully in the galaxy. Earth, a blue gem nestled in the far corner of the Milky Way, is no different. For centuries, humans have been left alone, hidden behind the protective shield of their own ignorance and technological limitations. But things are about to change. A massive fleet from the Zenari Empire, an alien race known for its ruthless conquests across the stars, has locked its sights on Earth. Led by their supreme commander, the Zenari are confident, arrogant, even, that this will be another simple victory in their expansion across the galaxy. They've faced countless civilizations and crushed them under their boot, each conquest leaving behind nothing but ruins and despair. Earth, with its primitive technology and sparse defenses, is no different in their eyes. As the alien fleet approaches, their weapons power up in preparation for the inevitable annihilation of the human race. The Zenari believe they have all the time in the world. But Earth's defense systems, while underappreciated, are not as simple as they seem. The Zenari are unaware that humanity has been preparing, silently building something much more powerful than they could ever have imagined. Hidden in the depths of the solar system, in the cold void beyond the reach of prying eyes, humanity's most ancient weapon has been waiting, an ancient fleet of warships, built in the forgotten days of Earth's past. These massive vessels, thought to be mere legends by most, have been lying dormant, undetected by even the most advanced alien technologies. For now, the galaxy remains unaware of Earth's most guarded secret. As the Zenari fleet nears Earth, the vast silence of space is broken only by the hum of their colossal ships cutting through the void. The alien scanners, advanced beyond human comprehension, sweep the space around them. The deep, empty blackness of space should have been reassuring, a sign that nothing stood in their way. But something unusual happens. The Zenari systems begin to pick up faint energy readings, strange, unexplained signals that seem to come from deep within the solar system. At first, the reports are dismissed as nothing more than glitches in their scanning systems, a malfunction, perhaps, or interference from the nearby planets. After all, the Zenari are experts in interstellar navigation and have dealt with odd anomalies before. But as the fleet draws closer, the strange readings become impossible to ignore. More unusual phenomena begin to emerge: unexpected gravitational anomalies, odd electromagnetic pulses, and mysterious debris floating through space. The signs are there, but the Zenari refuse to believe what they're seeing. They've encountered strange worlds and alien technology, but nothing has ever challenged their dominance. They believe that Earth, with its weak military presence and lack of advanced technology, will be no different. What they don't know, however, is that Earth has been watching them for years. While they were preoccupied with their conquests, humanity quietly prepared, constructing a fleet that was designed to hold off the invaders should the day come when Earth was no longer safe. And now, as the Zenari make their final approach, the humans are ready to unveil their greatest weapon: a fleet of ancient dreadnoughts, built long ago using technology far beyond what the Zenari have encountered. At the exact moment the aliens approach Earth's orbit, everything changes. The Zenari fleet suddenly finds itself surrounded by something that should not exist: a fleet of massive, imposing ships, each one larger and more powerful than anything they have ever encountered. These aren't new, modern warships. These are ancient dreadnoughts, built from forgotten technologies and hidden away for centuries. As the Zenari sensors begin to recalibrate, trying to make sense of the sudden appearance of these ships, the sheer size of the vessels takes them by surprise. There are 800,000 of them, each one of staggering proportions, and they emerge from stealth mode like shadows breaking through the night. The Zenari fleet is caught off guard. The once confident aliens, whose empire spans countless star systems, now find themselves surrounded by an overwhelming force. For the first time in their long history of conquests, they realize they've made a grave mistake. They've underestimated their prey. As the Dreadnoughts power up, weapon systems coming online with a deep, vibrating hum. The Zenari feel a rush of panic ripple through their fleet. The vast array of ships, which they had thought would be an easy target, now feels like an immovable fortress surrounding them. The first glimpses of the Dreadnoughts reveal their ancient designs, massive hulls adorned with mysterious markings and intricate symbols that have not been seen in thousands of years. Their weapons, powerful and menacing, come to life. Each ship is a work of art, but also a deadly weapon, armed with energy cannons capable of destroying entire fleets in a single strike. The Zenari, who have faced countless races and civilizations, are in disbelief. Their highly advanced technology has never encountered anything like this before. The energy readings that once seemed like glitches now turn into a real and present threat. The Zenari's massive technologically advanced fleet, once sure of its dominance, is now on the defensive. The alien's supreme commander orders a halt to the advance, his confidence beginning to waver. As the Dreadnoughts continue to reveal themselves, the Zenari begin to realize that they are no longer the predators, but the prey. The tension in the air becomes thick, a sense of doom hanging over the alien fleet as they face a force they do not understand. The countdown to confrontation begins. The Zenari, unable to comprehend the full scale of the threat, brace themselves for a battle unlike anything they have ever fought. In the silence of space, the stillness is shattered by the growl of engines powering up, the flash of energy cannons coming online, and the unmistakable feeling that Earth's ancient fleet is about to unleash its full wrath. The battle is inevitable. But what will happen next? The aliens are unsure, but they know one thing. They are about to face the wrath of a force they never saw coming. The tension builds to a fever pitch, and the audience is left at the edge of their seats, wondering how the Zenari will respond. Can they survive against this unexpected enemy? Or will the Earth's ancient dreadnoughts prove to be their doom? The stage is set, the pieces are in place, and the war between the two forces is about to erupt in a violent, world-changing battle. The year is 2124. The Zenari fleet is fast approaching Earth, and the fate of humanity is hanging in the balance. But the aliens do not know what they are about to face. In the darkness of deep space, a secret fleet of ancient warships lies dormant, waiting for the day when they will be called upon to defend Earth. These ships, built long before the rise of human civilization, are beyond anything the Zenari can comprehend. But the story of how these ships came to be hidden away, waiting for this moment, begins much earlier in humanity's history. Centuries ago, long before the Zenari even knew of Earth's existence, humans made an astonishing discovery. While exploring the far reaches of the galaxy, a small group of scientists and explorers uncovered alien technology that was so advanced it defied understanding. These artifacts, left behind by a long-dead alien race, held the key to unimaginable power. From this technology, humanity built the fleet of dreadnoughts that would one day defend Earth from any threat. But the discovery of this powerful technology did not come without its consequences. The aliens who had once ruled the galaxy had long since vanished, leaving behind their technology as a silent reminder of their once great empire. Humanity, unaware of the vast powers hidden within these ancient ships, began to build. Over the years, the fleet was slowly constructed, hidden away in the deepest, most remote corners of the solar system. Only a select few were aware of its existence. These were the people entrusted with the safety of humanity, the ones who knew that one day they might have to fight a war to protect the Earth. As the story shifts back to the present, we meet Captain Elias Bonner, a man who has spent his entire life preparing for this moment. Bonner is no stranger to battle. His father, a legendary military leader, died during the early stages of Earth's war with alien forces. The loss of his father, a man who was considered a hero by many, was a blow that left a scar on Bonner's soul. But it also pushed him to become stronger, to carry the weight of humanity's survival on his shoulders. Bonner has trained his entire life for this. He was raised in the shadow of his father's legacy. And now, as captain of the fleet's lead dreadnought, he understands the immense responsibility that lies ahead. The fleet is his responsibility. The men and women aboard these ancient ships are his responsibility. Every decision he makes could be the difference between victory and defeat, life and death. But even with the power of the dreadnoughts at his disposal, Bonner knows that he is not invincible. They are still the underdogs in this fight, facing an alien empire that has crushed countless civilizations. The odds are stacked against them, but the fate of humanity is in their hands. The crew of the fleet is a tight-knit group, each member with their own motivations and backstories. There is Lieutenant Mara Jacobs, a brilliant tactician who has been with Bonner since the beginning. Mara's calm demeanor and sharp mind make her an invaluable asset. She lost her brother during the early skirmishes with alien forces, and the memory of that loss fuels her determination to win this battle. Then there's Sergeant Darius Cole, a tough and fearless soldier who once served alongside Bonner's father. Darius is the heart of the fleet, his loyalty to Bonner and his team unwavering. His quiet strength gives the crew the hope they need to keep going when things get tough. Each of these individuals has a story, a reason for fighting. Some fight for family, others for duty, but all of them fight for Earth. Together, they form a team that has faced countless challenges in preparation for this day. The dreadnoughts, though powerful, are not invincible, and the crew knows it. They have trained for years, pushing their bodies and minds to the limit. They are not just soldiers. They are the last line of defense for humanity. And as they sit in the command center, waiting for the final orders to begin the battle, the weight of their mission bears down on them. The activation of the dreadnoughts is a complex and delicate process. These ancient ships, out of the corner of his eye, Bonner saw the Zenari ships begin to regroup, sensing that something was wrong. They could no longer track the human fleet on their radar. But the Zenari were not without their own tricks. Their ships, built with advanced technology far beyond anything humanity had ever encountered, began to fire off scanning pulses, trying to detect the hidden fleet. Bonner knew that the element of surprise would only last for so long. They had to act quickly, decisively. "Prepare for counterattack," Bonner ordered, his voice steady, yet full of urgency. "Let's show them what we're made of." The Horizon's Wrath and the other dreadnoughts lurked in the shadows of space, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The alien fleet, confident in their firepower, had begun to advance toward Earth. They had no idea that they were sailing into a trap. The human fleet emerged from stealth, a terrifying presence in the vast expanse of space. One by one, the dreadnoughts decloaked, unleashing a series of devastating counterattacks. Powerful energy beams shot out from their weapons, tearing through the void and striking the alien ships with unrelenting force. Bonner's dreadnought weaved in and out of enemy fire, maneuvering expertly through the chaos of battle. Laser beams streaked past, leaving trails of light in their wake, while missiles detonated in massive explosions. The atmosphere in space shimmered with the bright flashes of energy blasts, each explosion sending shockwaves across the battlefield. It was a spectacle of firepower and destruction like no one had ever seen before. The alien fleet, so accustomed to overwhelming their enemies with superior technology, was now struggling to maintain control as they were hit from all sides by the human fleet. The Zenari ships, caught completely off guard, scrambled to reposition themselves. The sheer power of the human fleet was overwhelming. Bonner watched with a mix of pride and disbelief as the Horizon's Wrath unleashed a volley of missiles that tore through the armor of one of the largest Zenari warships. The alien vessel erupted in a ball of fire and debris, its massive hull cracking open like an eggshell. The Zenari fleet was in chaos, their battle formations breaking down as they tried to regroup. But it wasn't just the raw firepower of the human fleet that was turning the tide. It was the strategic brilliance of Captain Bonner and his crew. Every move they made was calculated, designed to exploit the weaknesses in the alien fleet's formation. The Zenari, while technologically superior, were not prepared for a fight like this. They had underestimated humanity's resilience, their ability to adapt and fight back against seemingly impossible odds. Bonner's mind raced as he issued orders, directing his crew to focus their fire on the most vulnerable alien ships. "Target their engines," he commanded. "We need to cripple their ability to retreat." The Horizon's Wrath fired a concentrated blast directly at the engine core of a Zenari dreadnought. The alien ship shuddered violently as the blast hit its mark, and the massive vessel began to drift, its power systems failing. The Zenari were losing control. The enemy's once precise attacks began to falter. The alien fleet, which had been so confident just moments ago, was now in disarray. Alien warships that had once been the pinnacle of technology now found themselves at the mercy of Earth's hidden fleet. The Zenari, still reeling from the surprise, began to retreat, unsure of how to counter the humans' relentless assault. They had not expected this. They had believed Earth was weak, a primitive world that would fall before their might. But humanity had proven them wrong. The battle continued to rage, with both sides locked in a deadly dance. Yet, for all their advanced weaponry and technological superiority, the Zenari could not overcome the sheer determination of the humans. Bonner watched as his fleet continued to press the attack, each ship working together in perfect harmony. The energy blasts from the human fleet illuminated the darkness of space, while the alien ships flickered in and out of sight, their cloaking technology useless against the overwhelming firepower of the dreadnoughts. The underdog story of humanity was unfolding before Bonner's eyes. The Zenari, with their advanced weaponry and superior numbers, had expected a quick victory. They had thought that Earth's defenses would crumble in the face of their might. But now, they were the ones on the defensive. The once mighty alien fleet, which had seemed invincible, was now retreating, battered and broken. The humans, with their ancient warships and determination, were winning the battle. Bonner felt a surge of pride as he watched the enemy ships fall one by one. The Horizon's Wrath had taken down 3 Zenari dreadnoughts, and the rest of the fleet had inflicted severe damage on many others. The human fleet had held its ground, and in doing so, they had forced the Zenari to retreat. The battle was far from over, but for the first time since the war had begun, Bonner felt a glimmer of hope. Humanity was not as weak as the aliens had believed. They had shown that even against impossible odds, they could stand their ground and fight. The Zenari had underestimated them, and now they were paying the price. But this was only the beginning. The fight was far from over, and Bonner knew that the true test was yet to come. The battle raged on, a never-ending storm of laser beams, explosions, and the deafening silence of space between the clashes. Earth's fleet, the pride of humanity, was holding its own against the overwhelming power of the Zenari. But as each hour passed, the toll on the fleet became undeniable. Every ship in the human armada bore the scars of battle. Some had lost their shields, others had taken critical hits to their engines, and many of the brave soldiers manning these ships had already fallen. Captain Bonner's thoughts were clouded with the weight of the ongoing fight. His mind constantly returned to his crew. Each one of them had become more than just a colleague. They were family. And as the war continued to claim lives, Bonner found himself struggling to keep his emotions in check. He had seen too many friends fall, too many ships destroyed, and too much destruction to maintain his composure. But the hardest blow came with the death of his best friend, Marco. Marco had been by Bonner's side since the very beginning. They had trained together, fought together, and shared stories of their lives beyond the battlefield. Marco had been the one to joke when the weight of the war was too heavy, the one to lift Bonner's spirits when everything seemed lost. But that day, as the battle reached its peak, Marco's ship was hit by a devastating blast from one of the Zenari dreadnoughts. Bonner had seen it happen. He had watched helplessly as Marco's ship erupted into a ball of fire, spiraling out of control before it disintegrated completely. The loss of his friend was a blow that tore through Bonner's heart. He could feel the rage building inside him, a burning fury that threatened to consume him entirely. The Zenari had taken too much from him, from all of humanity. Marco's death was the final straw. "Damn it, Marco," Bonner muttered under his breath, his fists clenching around the controls of the Horizon's Wrath. His vision blurred with tears, but there was no time for grief. Not yet. The battle was still going on, and Earth was depending on him. The crew of the Horizon's Wrath watched in silence as Bonner's demeanor shifted. They could see the pain in his eyes, the anger that replaced the calm determination he had carried through the entire war. But they also saw the resolve in him. Bonner wasn't just a captain anymore. He was a man on a mission. He would make sure that Marco's death wasn't in vain. It was in that moment, as Bonner piloted the Horizon's Wrath through the chaos of space, that he received his new orders. The Zenari flagship, the heart of their fleet, was still intact. If humanity was going to win this battle, if they were going to have any chance of survival, the flagship had to be destroyed. It was a mission too dangerous for anyone to take on. But Bonner knew that there was no one else capable of seeing it through. The Horizon's Wrath had already taken significant damage. Its engines were failing, and much of the ship's hull had been compromised. The crew had been working tirelessly to keep the ship operational, but there was no denying the truth. They were running out of time. Bonner knew that sending any ship on this mission was a death sentence. But as he looked out at the vast expanse of space, filled with the burning wreckage of enemy ships, he made his decision. "We're going after the flagship," Bonner said, his voice steady but filled with an unshakable resolve. "It's the only way. We have to end this now." The crew knew what this meant. They knew that Bonner's decision was a suicide mission, but they also knew that he was right. The Zenari had to be stopped, and if Bonner was willing to make the ultimate sacrifice, they would follow him to the end. Bonner ordered the crew to prepare the experimental weapon that had been developed for just such an occasion. It was a powerful device, capable of obliterating the entire Zenari fleet in one massive explosion. But the weapon was unstable. It had never been tested in combat, and there was no guarantee that it would even work. Still, Bonner had no choice. It was their last hope. As the crew activated the weapon, Bonner made his way to the command center of the ship. The battle outside was reaching a fever pitch, with explosions lighting up the darkness of space. The Zenari flagship, massive and menacing, loomed ahead, its weapons firing at will, tearing through the remaining human ships. Bonner gritted his teeth and took one last look at the stars. He could hear Marco's voice in his head, urging him to stay strong, to do what was right. Bonner had no intention of letting his friend's death be in vain. With a final deep breath, he ordered the ship to charge directly into the heart of the enemy's command center. "Full speed ahead," he said. "Prepare for impact." The crew braced themselves for the worst, but Bonner's mind was focused. He was ready. There was no turning back. The Horizon's Wrath hurtled toward the Zenari flagship, and with a flash of light, the experimental weapon was activated. In that moment, everything seemed to slow down. Bonner's heart pounded in his chest as he watched the weapon's energy build, the ship's cockpit lighting up with the power of the blast. He knew he wasn't going to survive this. There was no escape. But it didn't matter. This was the only way. The Zenari had to be stopped. The weapon fired. A blinding explosion erupted from the Horizon's Wrath. The shockwave sent ripples through space, and the Zenari flagship disintegrated in an instant. The energy from the blast spread out, engulfing the remaining ships in the alien fleet. The sky was filled with the flames of destruction, a massive inferno that consumed everything in its path. The Zenari flagship fell, its once imposing presence now reduced to nothing but debris. The rest of the Zenari fleet followed, disintegrating into nothingness as the shockwave continued to spread. The invasion was over. Earth had won. But the victory came at a steep cost. Bonner, the hero who had sacrificed everything to save humanity, was gone. His ship, his crew, and his legacy would live on in the hearts of those who had witnessed his final moments. As the dust settled and the stars returned to their quiet, peaceful state, The crew of the Horizon's Wrath mourned their captain. But they also knew that his sacrifice had made all the difference. They had won the battle. They had stopped the Zenari. And it was all thanks to the courage and sacrifice of one man, Captain Elias Bonner. The final battle was unlike anything Earth had ever seen. The surviving human ships, battered and bloodied, hung on by the thinnest thread of hope. Their numbers were dwindling, and the damage they had sustained was immense. Yet the will to fight was unbreakable. Each pilot knew that this was their last chance to stop the Zenari invasion. They had already suffered countless losses, but they couldn't afford to lose now. Above Earth, the skies were alive with the chaos of war. The Zenari fleet, although battered by Bonner's sacrifice, still loomed like an unstoppable force. Their massive ships continued to fire, unleashing powerful energy blasts that ripped through the remnants of Earth's defenses. For every blast the Zenari fired, a human ship retaliated, each missile or energy beam a testament to their resilience. The human fleet had lost many ships, and the once mighty fleet had been reduced to a handful of vessels. The remaining commanders and pilots knew that this was not just about winning, it was about surviving. For them, the fight was no longer just a war, it had become personal. Each ship that fell, each comrade lost, made them more determined to end this once and for all. In the chaos of the battle, the Zenari began to realize that something was wrong. The enemy ships, though outnumbered and outgunned, seemed to possess an advanced power that they hadn't expected. The human ships, now fully operational and utilizing their ancient technology to its full potential, had begun to turn the tide. Their weapons, once thought to be relics of the past, were more powerful than anything the Zenari had ever encountered. Earth's ancient dreadnoughts, massive, imposing ships that had been hidden for centuries, fired upon the alien invaders with a strength and ferocity that seemed impossible. The Zenari were stunned. They had believed their weapons superior, but now they were being overpowered by the humans' sheer force and strategic prowess. The Zenari ships, once thought to be invincible, were beginning to crumble. The human ships, despite being outnumbered, had turned the tables in a way the aliens couldn't comprehend. With each passing moment, the Zenari forces began to lose their composure. The once imposing fleet now looked disorganized and desperate. The Zenari fleet was retreating, their formations broken, their ships damaged beyond repair. The humans had done the impossible. They had pushed the Zenari back. The battle raged on, but the momentum was now firmly in Earth's favor. The human ships, though heavily damaged, pressed on, firing relentlessly at the remaining Zenari vessels. There was no stopping them now. With every Zenari ship destroyed, the remaining invaders began to scatter, retreating into the depths of space. Despite the overwhelming odds, Earth's fleet was victorious. The Zenari fleet had been broken. The once proud empire, with its advanced technology and immense power, was now a shadow of its former self. The humans had triumphed, but not without sacrifice. The cost of victory was high, and the emotional toll was felt deeply by everyone who had fought. But even in their exhaustion, the surviving pilots felt a sense of pride. They had done it. They had won. As the final Zenari ship was destroyed, the remaining human ships came to a halt, their weapons silent for the first time in what felt like an eternity. The space around Earth was filled with the debris of the battle, remnants of the ships that had fought and fallen. The silence that followed was almost unbearable. For a moment, no one spoke. The weight of what had just happened hung in the air. But slowly, one by one, the surviving pilots began to speak. There were no cheers, no celebrations. They had won, but at such a great cost that joy was impossible. All around them, the destruction was clear. The fleet was nearly gone. Many of the ships had taken heavy damage, and countless lives had been lost. But humanity had proven something in that moment. They had proven that, despite everything, they were not to be underestimated. They had fought not just for survival, but for the future of their species. The camera zoomed in on the surviving pilots as they took in the aftermath of the battle. Their faces were worn and weary, but there was a sense of quiet pride in their eyes. They had fought for something greater than themselves. They had fought for humanity's future. It was a future that was now secure, but it was a future that came with the weight of their losses. Captain Bonner's sacrifice had paved the way for this victory, but it had come at a terrible price. His ship had been destroyed, and he had given everything for the cause. His sacrifice was not in vain, but it left a hole in the hearts of the survivors. They had won, but the victory felt hollow without the man who had led them. As the remaining human ships slowly began to return to Earth, the enormity of their victory began to sink in. The battle was over. The Zenari were defeated, but humanity had paid a heavy price for that victory. Many lives had been lost, and much of Earth's fleet had been destroyed. Yet in the end, Earth had emerged victorious. The survivors would never forget the cost of their victory. They would carry the memory of those they had lost, and they would honor the sacrifices made to secure their future. The battle was over, but the war was not forgotten. Humanity had proven that, no matter the odds, they would always fight for their survival. And in the end, they had emerged triumphant. With the Zenari fleet in retreat and Earth's skies clear once more, humanity could begin to rebuild. The survivors would return home, but they would never forget the battle they had fought, the lives they had lost, and the triumph they had earned. As the stars above Earth twinkled once more in the peaceful silence of space, humanity knew that they had earned their place in the galaxy. The victory against the Zenari Empire spread across the galaxy like wildfire. News of Earth's triumph reverberated through countless star systems, each in awe of the humans who had taken down an empire thought to be invincible. The once feared Zenari were now retreating into the vast corners of the galaxy, their fleet broken, their authority shattered. The ancient Dreadnoughts, the hidden relics of Earth's forgotten past, had become symbols of humanity's unyielding spirit. What was once a secret weapon, now a powerful symbol of hope, had turned the tide in humanity's favor. Across the galaxy, many civilizations looked on with a mixture of surprise and admiration. Earth, the small planet once dismissed as primitive and insignificant, had risen against one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy and emerged victorious. The Zenari Empire, which had previously believed themselves untouchable, was now in ruins. Their once vast and imposing fleet was scattered, their leadership in disarray, and their future uncertain. Earth's victory had shifted the balance of power in the galaxy, and the ripples of that change were felt far and wide. The humans, who had once been seen as underdogs, now stood tall among the stars. The Zenari had underestimated them at every turn, and in doing so, had sealed their own fate. Earth's fleet had not only survived the battle, they had decimated the Zenari forces, proving that no empire, no matter how advanced, was invincible. The ancient Dreadnoughts, believed to be nothing more than legends, had turned the tide, and humanity had taken its place as a force to be reckoned with. As Earth's surviving fleet made its way back to their home planet, the crew members couldn't help but reflect on the incredible journey they had just undergone. The battle had been long, hard, and devastating. Many friends had been lost, and many ships had been destroyed. But the victory was theirs. They had fought not just for survival, but for something greater, the future of humanity. They had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, humans could rise to the challenge. The people of Earth awaited the return of their heroes. The news of their victory spread quickly across the planet, and celebrations erupted in every major city. Earth had become the symbol of resilience and strength. The people, once divided by borders and differences, now stood united, bound by a common purpose: to rebuild, to honor those who had fallen, and to ensure that humanity would never again be seen as weak or insignificant. But even as the cheers rang out, there was a sobering reality that hung over the celebrations. The fight had been won, but the war was not over. The galaxy was still a dangerous place, filled with powerful and unpredictable forces. The Zenari may have been defeated, but other threats could arise. The victory against the Zenari was only the beginning of a new era for humanity. Earth had proven that they could survive, that they could stand up to even the most powerful adversaries, but there was still much work to be done. As the surviving pilots and crews returned to their ships, they were greeted with respect and admiration. They had saved humanity, but they knew that the future was uncertain. They were no longer the underdogs, no longer the ones who were underestimated. But with that newfound strength came new responsibilities. Earth had earned its place in the galaxy, and it was time to navigate the complex political landscape that lay ahead. In the final scenes, Captain Bonner, the hero who had led the charge against the Zenari, stood in front of his crew. His ship had been repaired, its systems back online, but the weight of the victory still hung heavy in the air. He had given everything for this moment, and the loss of so many friends and comrades was still fresh in his mind. But despite the heavy toll, he knew that humanity had come out stronger. He looked up at the stars, the vast unknown that now seemed within reach, and felt a sense of both pride and apprehension. The fight was over, but what came next was a new chapter in humanity's story. Bonner stood tall, his eyes fixed on the stars above, his crew by his side. The sky was clear, the dangers that had once threatened Earth now a distant memory. But the future remained uncertain. What new challenges would humanity face in this new era? Would there be other empires, other forces that would rise against them? And most importantly, would humanity be ready for whatever lay ahead? In this moment, Bonner understood that Earth had been forever changed. No longer would they be seen as weak, vulnerable, or insignificant. The victory against the Zenari had marked the beginning of a new age. An age where Earth stood as a beacon of strength and hope. The emotional weight of the battle was still present, but Bonner knew that the future was in humanity's hands now. They had fought for survival, but now they had to fight for their place in the galaxy. The camera zoomed out, showing the wreckage of the Zenari fleet scattered across space, the remnants of an empire that had once thought itself untouchable. The ancient Dreadnoughts, now the pride of Earth's fleet, floated among the debris, their massive forms silent but powerful. They were the symbol of humanity's resilience, proof that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the spirit of humanity could never be extinguished. As Bonner and his crew gazed at the stars, the screen slowly faded to black. The victory was complete, but the future was still a vast unknown. Earth had won the battle, but the story was far from over. Humanity had earned its place in the galaxy, but what would come next? Only time would tell. In the end, the story of humanity's victory against the Zenari Empire was more than just a tale of war. It was a story of resilience, sacrifice, and the unyielding spirit of a species determined to survive, no matter the cost. The final moments left the audience with a sense of justice as the Zenari Empire crumbled and humanity emerged victorious. The battle had been hard, the cost had been high, but the triumph was undeniable. Good had triumphed over evil, and humanity had secured its place among the stars.